Hello, everyone, and welcome to 411 Sports World Podcast. Today is October 14th, 2015, and this is our Fantasy Football Week 6 edition. Tonight with me, as usual, Lacey Dawson and the Calculator. How are you guys doing?
Great.
I'm doing wonderful. Ready to talk some fantasy football.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Welcome back from the vacation, Calculator.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We hope that you had a great time off.
I did.
Lacey and I held the fort down, and
just barely.
Fans. Yeah, we were hanging on, but you know, the Calculator's fans were definitely looking for you, but they were.
Did you say the Calculator's fan?
Yeah,
fans. I heard an S.
Yeah. So they're glad for your return, and we're gonna get down to business here. Fantasy football fans, here we go. We're gonna talk about studs and duds from week 5.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go ahead and get a couple of names off my chest.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, studs this week for me. Devonta Freeman, Deion Lewis, they had great games.
Yeah.
Doug Martin, 123 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. And to me, the stud of all studs, Le'Veon Bell, another strong performance since returning back. So all owners who have him, you're definitely getting your money's worth. He had another 100-yard game and a touchdown. So he's doing his job.
Can't really ask for more than that.
Yeah. Whether it's Big Ben or whether it's Vic, he's still getting the job done there. So you have to like that consistency. As far as duds, you know, in a league that I have, you know, that I'm in, I have Matt Ryan. And, man, he only gave me 8 points.
Really?
So, yeah, 8 points. I mean, 2 interceptions. That's not Matt Ryan-ish. And but Washington is a tough D, but I still expected more from Matt Ryan at home. So I would consider him a dud. Amir Abdullah, 2 fumbles. Cannot have fumbles at the running back position.
He basically got fired. Yeah.
17 rushing yards, and then you get the hook. So that's my dud. And I had to start him. So those are my studs and duds. And Lacey, I'm pretty sure you have some yourself.
Well, a couple of the real studs to me this week, you know, Andre Johnson. Hey, where you been? Welcome back. You know, but you know, he had a great game. You know, going to Houston, he got to show out a little bit, and you know, he really did what you would you know, Andre Johnson owners have been expecting all year. You know, if he just, you know, he waited till week 5, but you know, he did show up. Now, I don't know how consistent he's going to be. I don't know if he can keep up that kind of production. Probably not. I think it's interesting that he finally had that kind of game, you know, with Matt Hasselbeck instead of with Andrew Luck. But you know, if you own him, you probably started him just because of, you know, going to Houston. So those fans should be pretty happy. Another stud, a real welcome back here, Antonio Gates. Oh my goodness, I did not see that coming. But Phillip Rivers, he looked happy, even though they didn't win the game. They fell back into their old patterns like he never left. So you know, if you're an Antonio Gates owner, you know, he's definitely making it worth your while to have held on to him, you know, for these many weeks into the season where he's going to show up now, and it looks like he's back to his old form. So I find that studly, particularly where you would have drafted him. He gave you a lot of production over any other tight end this week. And speaking at the tight end position, I'm going to go with my dud. Well, my main dud. I have 2 of them, both tight ends. Owen Daniels. In Denver. You got to figure that somebody is going to pick up Julius Thomas' slack. And apparently it is not going to be Owen Daniels.
And what was crazy, Lacey Dawson, about that is he was going against the most forgiving defense against tight ends in the league in the Oakland Raiders. I mean, so a lot of people were saying matchup-wise, Owen Daniels got to catch something.
Oh, matchup-wise, you would start him with confidence.
Yes.
I did. And he rewarded you with a big fat 0 in your lineup. So thanks for nothing, Owen Daniel. I'm glad that Greg Olsen will be back this week, but yeah, he is somebody I won't trust him again. And the other tight end is somebody that went considerably higher, is Travis Kelce. Oh my goodness.
Man. Yeah.
Kansas City is just they're just coming off the rails. I mean, losing Jamal Charles is obviously going to be a body blow for that team, but I mean, this is kind of, Kelsey's had I think a couple of good games, but the Alex Smith factor is real. I think he just is not going to. He's not going to get you to the next level for Kansas City, and I promise you, if you are from a fantasy standpoint, he's not getting you there either. So he's somebody that I had to start. Just because of was it the bye week or either the bye week or the Andrew Luck factor, him not playing. I would have been better off with Matt Hasselbeck than with Alex Smith. That is a damning indictment.
Oh,
those are my studs and duds.
Yeah, and before I pass it on to the calculator, Lacey, I have one for you about Owen Daniels.
Okay.
What was Owen on?
Oh, my.
Get it?
I don't want to drink tequila shots tonight, but you're going to force me to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Time for a tequila shot.
All right, calculator.
Hold on a second. I hate tequila.
All right. Well, one of my studs, I'm going to give a shout-out at the quarterback position to Mr. Joe Flacco. The reason I'm going to point him out is because possibly after his performance against Pittsburgh and his 3 fumbles, nobody started him. But he had a fantasy day. That's right. He had a pair of rushing touchdowns, 210 passing yards and a passing touchdown. So, Joe Flacco, thank you for nothing because nobody started you this past weekend.
Yeah, you forced me to start Alex Smith.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Flacco. My dud at the quarterback position, got to go with Matthew Stafford. That Cardinal game, you want to talk about Abdullah? Well, Matthew Stafford did that team no favors either. It was just a bad all-around value. He was a mess, posted single-digit fantasy points for the 3rd straight week, had a season low 188 yards passing, threw a season-high 3 interceptions to go with one passing touchdown, and then was so bad they had to pull him midway through the 3rd quarter. Matthew Stafford, you are to the bench until further notice. Okay, going on my running back stud, DeMarco Murray. Nice to see that you're trying to make your money. Had by far his best day with the Eagles, had over 100 purpose yards in Philadelphia's win over New Orleans, had a rushing touchdown, 20 carries, 83 yards, and added 7 catches for an additional 37 yards. So DeMarco Murray, way to earn your paycheck. Dud, got to give it to Eddie Lacy. Only managed 27 yards on 13 carries against the Rams, added 8 yards on 1 reception. But right at the end of the tunnel, Eddie Lacy is a slow starter notoriously. But this week he's going to bounce back against the Chargers, so stay patient. He's still the top back in the Aaron Rodgers offense. Okay, on my stud list, we're going for the wide receivers, Brandon Cooks. Although the Saints had a rough game on the road, he had his best game of the season, finding the end zone for the first time, 107 yards on 5 catches. He should continue to see plenty of targets and still has big upside, even though his start of the season has been a slow one. To my dud list, got to go with Terrence Williams for the Dallas Cowboys. Any fantasy potential that Williams had to replace Dez Bryant went away as soon as Brandon Whedon became the quarterback. He only had 2 catches for 30 yards, and I've actually dropped him in 2 formats. I'm not going to suffer through a Matt Castle replacement either. Terrence Williams is not the guy for you. Okay.
Yeah.
My tight end studs, giving it out to Gary Barnidge. The most impressive catch for a tight end was Barnidge's catch off his feet for the Browns' go-ahead goal. He finished with 8 catches, 139 yards, and touchdown, putting up his 3rd week with Josh McCown under center. But I do want people to beware. Cleveland's about to face some tough defenses on the horizon, so just tread carefully. But he was stud once again for this week. Got to go with Mr. Charles Clay. They were looking good. He was catching the ball. He had this big contract, and they said, "Oh, he's worth the money." Well, he only managed one catch for 7 yards last week.
Oh no!
He was only targeted 3 times. And Tyrod Taylor and the Bills' aerial attack just couldn't get it going against Tennessee. And if people haven't found out, Tyrod Taylor is already ruled out for this week. So that puts people on notice that I would stay away from all Buffalo offensive personnel for the foreseeable future.
Duly noted.
Dud and duds.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Well, so Buffalo's little reign of terror is over?
for now.
I mean, what happened?
For now.
Well,
that was quick.
Yeah, but that was quick and concise. I mean,
that's right.
To the point. Well, how about our scoop and score segment here? This is where we help you dig into the waiver wire bucket and pick up some key players, and hopefully they can score big for you. Lacey.
Yeah.
Who do you have for waiver wire pickups?
Well, a lot of that depends on settings in your league. Depends on what you need in your own lineups. But first of all, keep in mind this week's buys are we got Dallas on a bye, St. Louis, Oakland, and Tampa Bay. So you're gonna need replacements for some Cowboys. I don't know.
I don't know if people were holding out for them anyway.
I don't know if you hadn't already dropped all of them. You're gonna need to replace some of those. St. Louis, who's on St. Louis? Is that girly kid?
Yes.
Yeah. So your St. Louis players and for the Raiders, the surprising Raiders, and for Tampa Bay. So, I was looking at the waiver wire. There's a lot of questions out there. There's a couple of guys that there's one guy that's on everybody's radar because of Jamal Charles, which is I don't even know how to pronounce it. Charkandrick.
We'll just say West.
Go West, my friend. Go West. Go West.
Very, very high on everybody's list of people to pick up because of his, because Jamal Charles apparently is out for the season.
Yep.
Oh, that is just
ACL tear.
Yeah, but of course, only the person with the number one waiver priority is going to get him. Mm-hmm. So there's some other guys out there that I've been looking at that I think are worth a try. Marquez Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Chicago, because Eddie Royal, Eddie Royal's not healthy, and even when he was healthy, it really doesn't seem to be working out. There was a lot of hype around, Alshon Jeffrey and Eddie Royal, but it's just not working out. Alshon Jeffrey's not 100%. And Cutler, he went to him, and he had a good game, and I foresee that continuing.
Okay. Cool.
Just a couple of others. Hold on a second. Yeah. There's a couple of others, that I have my eye on. One of the guys, now some of these guys are probably, may or may not actually be on the waiver wire. I know that Shane Vereen was on the waiver wire in several leagues that I looked at. Okay. Just because, people get to a point where, you only have so much room on your bench.
Right.
But he's somebody I would pick up and stash. So those running backs that are heavily involved in the passing game, Deion Lewis, Duke Johnson, Shane Vereen, if they're available, pick them up.
And Duke Johnson's going to be huge this weekend.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So
okay. Did you have any more? Did you have some more?
No. That's. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks. There's a few more, but I'm sure you'll cover those.
Okay. Well, I have one that's similar to, like you just mentioned earlier, Lacey. They may or may not be available, but in some leagues, this player is, and that's Snead out of New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Really?
Just this past week, 141 yards with 6 receptions, and you have Drew Brees back there, and they're playing at home against the Falcons this week. Whether they're up or down, they're going to air it out. So
yeah, that's true. I
would definitely look at him. That's a receiver that I wish I had on my team, especially when I'm embarrassed to even tell you who my wide receiver 2 is on my roster. So that will be a pickup. and I had to dig real deep on this one. And I'm just going to give you the last name because that's how you have to look these players up. And his last name is Diggs, and he plays in Minnesota.
Yeah, Stefan.
Yeah, I had to dig deep. I know you like that one, Lacey. But I had to dig deep to find that one, and it's one of those where you just taking a shot in the dark. But hey, due to injuries, if he can get the plays, anything can happen. And he was targeted 10 times last weekend, so that's one there. Try that out. And Riddick out of Detroit.
Oh yeah.
PPR
dream. Yeah.
And especially since Abdullah, who was supposed to be a PPR machine and a running machine, is failing right now. You know,
he can't hold on to the ball.
Yeah, it seems like it's not a well-oiled machine. The Pistons are not running in Detroit, so go with Riddick and
tequila shot.
Yeah, and use Riddick. So those are some that I have there, and I know the calculator is going to bring it home with this
yes, sir.
segment.
All right, Josh McCown, Cleveland Browns. He is out there in a lot of leagues. Continues to put up absolutely crazy numbers. Last week had to come back multiple times against the Ravens. He attempted a league high 51 passes, completing 36 of them. Finished with 457 yards, a pair of passing touchdowns, while adding a score on the ground. He has multiple passing touchdowns, over 340 yards in all 3 games that he has started and finished. But do beware. Yeah. He is taking on Denver, St. Louis, and Arizona in the next 3 weeks. But right now, there is no other quarterback hotter than McNown. You guys pretty much covered the running back West. He is pretty much it's a situational ad. But if you have a top waiver priority, I think he is worth a top 3 waiver priority. I want to go to the wide receivers and add a guy by the name of Jamison Crowder, wide receiver for Washington. Exactly. A week after leading the team in targets, he had 12 of them. Crowder tied for the target lead in Sunday's loss at Atlanta. He caught all 8 of those looks for a team-high 87 yards. That makes 3 straight games of 6+ receptions for the slot man. Deshaun Jackson is approaching return, might consume some targets, but Jackson's deep game should also create some space for Crowder inside. The rookie should remain a PPR factor. A Week 6 visit to the Jets should mean a good matchup for Crowder compared to his other teammates on the outside, and the team's run game will come to fruition. Then come the Bucks, who allowed 303 yards and 4 touchdowns to Blake Bortles. A visit to New England, where there'll be a ton of passes. And then a home day with the vulnerable 31st ranked Saints defense. So Crowder has, take away the Jets defense on the horizon, but the next 3 are cream puffs. Let's go to the tight end. I'm going to highlight Richard Rodgers. On a day when Aaron Rodgers struggled pretty much for the most of the day, Richard Rodgers did have 8 targets and 6 catches, led the team. He tallied 45 yards a week after posting a 5.45 one-touchdown line. Rodgers seems to have earned his quarterback's trust, which makes him a spot start option going forward with these bye weeks coming up.
Ooh.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, man. Hey, I think we did a great job in that session there. There's a lot of information there for the listeners out there to improve their rosters. Take heed to what we're saying. Let's go to the grab bag. Okay. Everyone knows the drill. We appreciate you listening, but we also love for you to send us your questions, suggestions, and just send them to 411 sportsworld podcast at gmail.com. And the calculator, he was up all night, and he was sifting through hundreds and hundreds of emails, and he ran across something that was very interesting, so I want him to share it with you all.
Absolutely. This comes from a team called Joe Mama. Okay. Joe Mama, I am in a league. It starts 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, tight end, kicker, defense. It is a non-PPR league. My running backs are LeGarrette Blount and Adrian Peterson. I also have LaShawn McCoy, Tevin Coleman, David Johnson as my running backs.
Okay.
As you know, 3 of those are, iffy. I have been approached with an offer. Somebody offered me Latavius Murray for either Keenan Allen or T.Y. Hilton. Again, a non-PPR league that starts 3 receivers. My other receivers are James Jones, Steve Smith Sr. Would you trade Keenan Allen or T.Y. Hilton for Latavius Murray?
I would.
So 411. Oh, I'm sorry, Lacey.
No, this is Lacey.
Go ahead, Lacey.
That's just like off the top of my head. Just you got Adrian Peterson, and you've got. Did you say David Johnson?
David Johnson he is one of the bench players. Tevin Coleman's on the bench. LaShawn McCoy's on the bench. The other starter is LeGarrette Blount with Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
I mean, you've got a lot of running backs. It doesn't sound like you're as deep at anywhere near as deep at wide receiver as you are at running back. You got Keenan Allen, T.Y. Hilton, and you said Steve Smith Sr.
And James Jones.
And James Jones.
And Terrence Williams.
And who?
Terrence Williams.
Okay, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. I'm thinking of people that you would be likely to start or likely to need to start. Mm-hmm. You don't have the same kind of depth at receiver. Even though it's a non PPR league, Keenan Allen is a stud. He is, even though Antonio Gates is back and that may eat into some of his production, he's a stud. Latavius Murray, is he going to be the kind of stud for you that Keenan Allen is when you already have some depth at that position, at the running back position? I don't know. I don't take that deal. Well, what say you, 411?
Well, I'm looking at it from this side of the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Peterson and LeGarrette Blount are currently the starting backs because McCoy has this hamstring issue. We don't know how long that's going to linger. Coleman basically is an RB2.5 at this point. And then David Johnson, one of these days the coach is going to let him play, but it may be too late by the time he starts playing. So
he's playing now.
Well, he's playing, but Chris Johnson is getting the burn, and then
Andre Ellison's coming back.
Ellison is back, so both of those guys are getting the first and second down / third down type carries. Johnson is just filling in as a young guy. The coaches for some reason he's dead set on treating him like a rookie. Like, hey, you're gonna wait your turn, buddy.
Well,
I would say, with all that being said, and then you have Hilton and Allen, I'm looking at James Jones, and I'm saying, okay, Green Bay, high-powered offense. He's shown that he can get in the end zone. So with a non-PPR league, I think I can get away with starting either a combination now, whichever one I get rid of, Allen or Jones, Hilton or Jones, and I would take Murray because I could put Murray as a starting back with Adrian Peterson. So now I'm set at running back, and I can sit back and wait and see what happens with McCoy, because if McCoy comes back healthy, now I have 3 backs, and then if David Johnson emerges later on in the season, I have 4 backs. So I think I would take a chance with that, along with Steve Smith possibly coming back, because they said it's not a season-ending injury.
That's not a legitimate.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Smith, you need to kind of try to factor him out. He's going to be out for several weeks. And he's playing for Baltimore. Joe Flacco.
Yeah. Well, Steve Smith is actually they're talking about he might play this weekend.
Yeah, well, he played when he got hurt. How many points did you get from him? Not a lot.
Well, he got hurt.
Just because they're in the game doesn't mean that they're scoring for you. And they might say Julio.
But I mean, for me, I would just lean more towards making sure I have Latavius Murray and Adrian Peterson in my backfield. That gives me time to let McCoy get healthy. So I would make the deal. I would roll the dice on that one.
Which one would you do, Keenan Allen or T.Y. Hilton?
Oh, wow. Well, I would let my I would do a favor to the other owner, and I would say you pick.
Okay.
Because either way, Allen has Rivers, T.Y. has Luck. So I feel good with whichever one is still on my team. So I would just let them pick. But now if you're saying if I had to just give one, I would say, okay, you can have Allen. Because I'd rather have Hilton and Luck.
Fair.
But just to make sure it goes through, I would say, hey, you pick which receiver you like, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So Joe Mama's team, who's out there? There's your answers. We split on the decision, so now the owner is the tiebreaker.
Yeah, and both reasons are solid reasons. So, but that's what we're here for, to let you weigh it on both ends. So,
exactly.
Good luck with that, Joe Mama. Well, let's see, what else do we have on the plate for today?
Okay.
We have to give everybody our fantasy tips.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's give everybody fantasy tips for the weekend, for the upcoming week. If you all don't mind,
the Cowboys.
yeah. You mentioned earlier about the bye weeks. That was a great point, Lacey. But what else would you like to offer to your listeners?
Well, when you're talking about fantasy tips, I mean, basically it's like who to start, who not to start. That's the way I see it anyway. And there's a couple of people. We haven't talked about Peyton Manning.
Uh-oh.
He's another single-digit fantasy production. Another week of that. Don't know what's going on with him, but it's hard to trust him. Marshawn Lynch, I'm done with him. I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
What's going on in Cincinnati with Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard? What if you have both of those guys, because normally if you have a really good running back, one of your top backs, a lot of times you're going to have his backup. Is Gio the backup, or is which one of them is the backup? I've been trying to figure that out.
What calculator would you like to give that tip?
I think it's a simple play game type issue. Cincinnati fell behind hard, pretty far with the Seattle game. So Bernard was in there because he's the pass catcher. Now, if they have the lead like they did 2 weeks ago, they're going to have Jeremy Hill in there to just pound it, keep the lead, and possibly get some touchdowns. So I mean, the game is going to dictate between who is going to play. Is basically how they're doing it right now. So, but as far as starting, I mean, I actually have Jeremy Hill in 2 leagues, and this week I'm not starting him in any of them, in either of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're definitely not going to have a big lead.
So, but I mean, it's just Cincinnati's actually playing Buffalo this week, and Buffalo. Their run defense.
Looking at Cleveland. I'm sorry.
Yeah, their run defense is stout.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and Eli Manning, they were able to pass on Buffalo. So I think Giovanni Bernard is going to have more success this weekend than Jeremy Hill would against Buffalo.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh wow.
All right.
Okay. Well, my tip for the weekend, for the upcoming week is keep an eye on the injury situation. We talked about Tyrod Taylor. They're playing cat and mouse with his injury situation. It looks like he's not going to play. And then one minute I read something and it's like, well, he's not 100% sure. Coach Rex is not 100% sure whether he's going to do that or not. And
Belichick effect.
Yeah, there you go. Carlos Williams with the concussion situation. I know many owners out there are wondering if he's going to play this week or not. So you got to have your plan B ready there. Julio Jones, the hamstring. They're saying he's going to play. But then, hey, you got to keep an eye on that because they may change their mind on a short week. Big Ben, he's back throwing the ball around a little bit. Will he play this weekend or not? We don't know for 100%. We're not 100% on that, but he could very well show up, Sunday morning ready to play. So keep an eye on this injury situation as the season is rolling along because every week, I mean, this game is a brutal game. So every week players are getting banged up, and it's getting tough on these guys. So keep an eye on the injury fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
I have a thing also for Devontae Freeman owners. You know, he enters week 6, top scoring running back in all of fantasy football. So a lot of people think, oh man, Tevin Coleman's coming back. I need to sell him, you know, to trade him. If you can find someone in your league that's willing to treat Freeman like an RB1 going forward in terms of trade value, go ahead and make the move. Problem is, that might be hard to find. Freeman's issues are obvious, okay? We know he can't keep up the 3 touchdown per game pace. We know Tevin Coleman's almost back to full health as he saw some action last week. So much of a way as Freeman surprises us all the past 3 weeks, you will find doubters out there that, you know, basically are going to try and lowball you to trade him. If that's the case, don't move him. Okay, the Falcons running back just for the sake of getting something. Atlanta figures to keep him in the mix, even with Coleman back. Freeman is a PPR gem as well. He has his 24 receptions through 5 games is third among running backs, and he has already collected more receiving yards, 240, than Coleman did in his whole college career.
Wow.
And should Coleman continue to have rib injuries or suffer another injury or just falter, if he is a rookie, you'll still have a high-end starter across all formats. So if you think you can get RB1 for Freeman, now might be the time to make the move. But if there's people that are trying to lowball you out there, I would just be out the whole Freeman and ride until, you know, he can't go any longer.
There you go. I agree. Because he's a hot commodity right now. So, yeah, I agree with you on that.
But like the
he came out of nowhere.
People recognize that name value, you know.
Right.
You can say, oh, LaShawn McCoy or, you know, even DeMarco Murray, and then, you know, it's the name. It's like, I'm not giving you one of those guys for Freeman.
Exactly.
You know, even though
and if they're not going to pull the trigger on those guys, then hey, I'll just keep Freeman then, you know. Yeah. I'll keep the PPR guy.
Exactly. You know? Wow. Well, once again, great show. And great information from Lacey, great information from the calculator. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in to our shows. We're going to upload our shows to YouTube. So you'll be able to pick this up later on tonight. Also, remember, email us at 411sportsworldpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your comments, your questions, and we will help you, whether it's helping you set your lineup, waiver wire pickups, who to start, who to sit, injury fronts. Whatever you need to know, we're going to get it to you. So, on behalf of the calculator, on behalf of Lacey Dawson, I'm Mr. 411. We thank you for listening, and you have a great night.
Everyone have a good night, fellas and ladies.
Ciao, bella.
Bye.